like to introduce someone that probably needs absolutely no introduction, and it's none other than Rozzie Ryan. Rozzie, welcome to Warringah Park.
Thank you, Roger, and good morning, everybody.
Yeah. So, Rozzie, talking about coaches, and this seminar is about coaches and helping coaches seeing things and develop different ways of communication and teaching and training, all those things. You've seen a lot of people come along through the coaching ranks, and a lot of your pupils, no doubt, now are coaching.
Yeah, definitely. We, for years, we did that coach course at Lochinvar, and it's really nice to see there's people here that came through that. Sam's one of them. So it's lovely to see people develop and then become elite coaches.
It's so nice to hear that, and I know you are able to inspire so many of us, not only with your writing but also with your coaching. To see you here on Jarrett in the freestyle, for those that were here, it was absolutely spectacular. It was absolutely masterful.
Thanks.
And it still makes the hairs on the back of the neck stand up when I think of it. The music and the choreography in your writing was absolutely exemplary, and it's just proof that if you stay fit mentally and physically, we can keep writing until a good old age. So between the two of us, I think we're well and truly over a century.
Hey, Roger, last time I was here, I was riding Jarrah up, and one of the workmen on the site of the show jumping stopped me, and he's going, hey, can I just ask you a question? Can you do this? Well, obviously you can do this till you're really old. Yeah, you can. Why not?
Even when you can't ride anymore, you can get the orthopaedic surgeon, pop in a couple of new knees and away you go again. It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of time for everyone to get to the ranks of Rozzie, and she's got plenty of time left, don't worry. But what I was going to say was, it's so nice for you to see that the Ryans, and truly you have produced so many, not only fantastic horses, fantastic riders and super coaches. Rozzie, I remember the first time I ever saw you ride really was in Stockholm a few years ago at the World of Grace engaged on Sterling Wilton, when you had a traumatic time with him getting a bit crook, and they managed to put you over the next day. I'll never forget it, and that's quite a long time ago.
Yep.
Who are the people that have really influenced you along the way to make you the coach and the rider that you're able to be today?
Oh, I think I came up through the English Pony Club system. This time of year in England, we would have been doing indoor rallies. And indoor rallies didn't mean in an indoor school, it meant in the stables, because most people didn't have indoor schools then. And we would do bandaging and points of the horse and horse care and horsemanship. And I think that was a big influence. It was always the horse comes before you, you make sure your horse is watered and fed, and all the basic stuff that I sometimes wonder if kids miss out on these days. And then I had a coach for many years, Jane. She was Jane Houghton-Brown, and then became Jane Goldsmith, who was very influential with the para riders in England. Unfortunately, she died a few years ago. And I was lucky in the Pony Club. I don't know if anybody remembers somebody called Anthony Crossley, who was a huge critic in those days. He'd always get himself into trouble. And he was 70 then, and he decided that he was going to revamp his position on a horse at 70. And he was very inspirational. He taught at our Pony Club. I was lucky enough at 17, he let me ride his horse, and it was the first time I felt piaffe and passage. And so that was pretty amazing. And then, Tineke Bartels. I've spent many years with the Bartels family, and I love not just their coaching, but their overall ethos on life. They're wonderful people to spend time with. Harry Bolt, Jenny Lauriston-Clark, and all the people that have come to Australia. In Stockholm, it was Clemens. Clemens was really our first real international coach. It was great experience. And all the people that come, I always think it's like a library of experience. And as Mary was saying yesterday, you take something from somebody and you put it in your library and maybe use it later on.
Talking about Anthony
Crossley. And Heath, of course.
Oh, who? Heath who?
Don't mention.
Heath, don't mention the war.
Yeah.
Has he influenced you at all?
Oh, I remember the first time was talking about it yesterday, and I was on Wilton, and I said, I think maybe he's ready to do a flying change, and he said, oh, just do it. You know? And that's always been I found it very liberating coming to Australia, where people were prepared. You said, okay, all the kids at our place say they want to ride at the Olympics, and nobody goes, oh, don't be so silly. Which was a little bit the attitude when I was growing up in England. You know, you had to be very special to do that. Basically, you just have to bloody do it. You know?
It's fantastic. He really is a bit of inspiration, yeah. That was for your husband, probably not for you. But anyway, I thought you talk about Anthony Rozzie. I've read his book. The opening page says, there is no excuse for bad posture as soon as you get out of bed. So...
And he was...
It's fantastic. It's just simple. And actually, I was standing here thinking, I thought, oh, I better stand up here, get my core.
And he used to walk around like this.
Oh, did he?
Oh, yes. He was...
well, we better do a bit of Anthony Rozzie. We should get on and help.
Yep.
Samantha Bartlett from Victoria, she's been very successful. We know many of her horses. She always seems to be on a chestnut one. Anyway, this is Final Romance by First Romancia. Final Romance scored a 76 and a 73 to win both novice and be novice champion here at the last weekend's competition. And she's had a foal by De Niro, and she's now back in work. She's 7 years old. Thanks, Rozzie.
Thanks, Roger. Okay, so thank you, Sam, for doing this. I really admire the riders that are happy to get up in front of everybody and basically be pulled to pieces. So we're not going to do that anyway. But this is the most beautiful mare. And I think what we're looking at here today is how do we get this beautiful mare through the grades to Grand Prix, and developing coaches. We're not all teaching Grand Prix horses, but hopefully even at this level we're starting to think along the lines towards Grand Prix, and I mean that's what we think with all the horses that start at our place. Even the eventers, we've got, I think, Willinga Park Clifford is about to do his first inter-A. I shouldn't laugh, but I think he doesn't know anything about that. But he's amazing, but why can't you train your thoroughbreds? Okay, he's not going to move like Totalus, but he's going to, he and Hazel are going to learn from the experience, and once you have found your way through to Grand Prix, you're more likely to be able to do it again. So at this level, this horse is novice. For me, the most important thing at novice level is that she's confident and that she wants to participate with you. We're not trying to make her something she's not, but really here you want to make this a really nice experience. We want a wonderful rhythm at the walk, and I think she looks like she's got a beautiful walk. I would honestly pretty much leave this alone at this stage, just that she walks forward in a lovely outline. Maybe, okay, the pole might be a fraction low, but at this stage I wouldn't be worrying too much about that. I would be looking at her thinking, this is happy, she looks confident, she's walking forward, Sam's not having to drive her forward, she's offering to go, which for me is a big thing, especially once you get to a certain age. You don't want to be, well, I personally don't want a physical ride. I want a horse that goes in self-carriage, offers to go, and so I love the look of this. And just come through the middle of the circle there, Sam. My theory is that the way that you communicate with your horse is it's like a conversation. And at this stage, maybe the conversation is a little more basic than the conversation that you have once you've got the horse to Grand Prix. But if you think of the aids, seat, legs, hands, and they're the way that you communicate with the horse, you are communicating in a language of feel. And so people always say, well, can you teach feel? I think absolutely you can teach feel. Of course, none of us are born, ready to ride Grand Prix, but the horses you ride teach you to feel. And so more than anything, the horse is already telling you what you have to do if we'd only listen to it. And so this is not about getting on and bossing the horse around. This is about forming a partnership and actually communicating. It's very reactive, so the horse reacts, you react, the horse reacts, you react, and it's this constant conversation. I always liked the way that Tineke used to say, okay, you're always trying to make it better, you're always trying to communicate. And really, if you feel like you're a little busy, it might be completely invisible, but don't feel that that's wrong. You might, somebody said to me this morning, oh, I'm so frustrated and, I'm really struggling. And I go, well, we're all struggling. Don't feel, that because you're riding at novice level and you'll be fine when you get to Grand Prix. I can tell you, the further up the levels you go, the more you realize you don't know, and the more frustrating it is because the communication becomes finer and finer. Anyway, let's go to trot, and we're just going to look for basically a really lovely rhythm. I want to see a lovely rhythm, and I also want to see accurate figures. So accurate figures mean accurate aids, and you can't ride an accurate 20-meter circle without accurate aids. I saw you that, Sam. So your 20-meter circle, one of the first things we will do when you have a horse at this level is, firstly, can we just ride a nice 20-meter circle in a lovely rhythm and an accurate circle, 2 meters past sorry, that's I, isn't it? 2 meters past I, not going into the corners at this stage, and then go large, Sam. So this time she goes into the corner a little more. At this stage, I wouldn't expect a novice horse to go hugely into the corner, but we will talk about that later. Corners are so important. And she just goes straight around the arena, no hesitation, beautiful rhythm, and I would be super happy with that. I think Sam won a test last weekend, and I think you can see why. It's soft, it's beautiful. So, I think here I wouldn't be changing anything. But go across the diagonal, Sam. Remember, the diagonal starts 6 meters after the corner of one long side to go 6 meters before the corner of the opposite long side. Again, for a novice horse, already I would be asking for that accuracy from the rider, from the rider's focus. It's not too much to ask of a novice horse to just go on a straight line. Lovely. So if you're riding a correct corner, your corner will be the quarter of a 6 meter circle. So strictly speaking, there should be 14 meters straight when you're not riding. Maybe just show us a straight line through the short side. Yeah, super. Lovely. And then up the long side. So you should have 14 meters straight on the long side and on the short side. And very often with baby horses, you sort of see, I don't know, half a 20-meter circle. But already I would be wanting to show a difference between a corner and a circle. Lovely, Sam. Go once more long side, super rhythm, and basically, for novice, I would say I'd be super happy with that. Okay, let's come back onto the left rein. So go across the diagonal, and we'll give her a canter, and then we might do some leg yielding. With this accuracy, I think I'm always not just looking to train the horse to Grand Prix, but looking for marks in competition. And I imagine that a lot of you are training horses for competition, and that has to be accurate as well. If you're competing against those professional riders, you can't afford not to be accurate. Okay, so now we go into the canter. Come on a 20-meter circle. We just let her settle a little bit. And lovely canter. She just looks, again, just a tiny little bit unsettled. We'll just give her time to settle down. But beautiful canter, beautifully balanced. And probably, to be honest, most of us are not going to always start off with a horse like this. You know, we get lots of different types of horses that come at novice level and maybe not of this quality, but you would ask the same thing. Learn to ride a proper 20-meter circle. Learn to ride a proper arena. So next time around, Sam, we'll go whole arena. And again, lovely, relentless rhythm with the horse just offering to come forward. And when she comes... Okay, we're doing flying changes already. Good girl, that's all right. Go on the circle again. And so often that will happen when you get a little bit of tension or a little bit too much pressure on the inside hind, and she changed out. It's no big deal at all. I wouldn't be at all worried about that at this stage. And down the long side, already with a novice horse, I'd be wanting to start a little bit of shoulder fore. So she came down there a little bit with her hindquarters to the inside. So this is the time to start being able to ride the inside hind leg a little bit more under her body, a little bit more shoulder fore. And when you start that, you can see you may well end up with too much bend to the inside. Again, to start with, that's okay. Then gradually, as go large again, Sam, and a little bit shoulder fore. And we're not worrying too much at this stage whether the horse has too much inside bend. We're worrying about whether the inside hind leg falls into the same line as the inside front leg. And you can see it's a little wobbly there, but she's getting it. Then gradually, go again, Sam. Gradually, then, I would want her to come a little straighter with her nose more towards the center of her chest, so that she understands that the shoulders stay a little to the left, and she comes a little bit more into the outside rein. Circle here. I always think of the outside rein as the pressure rein, and with a baby horse, don't do too much. I think it's a bit overrated, to be honest, especially on a baby horse. Too much pressure, not a good thing at this stage. When you're ready, come back to trot softly. Good girl, well done. And then we'll go on to the other rein and have a canter the other way. So starting, if you think about the trot, we all tend to make the trot quite flexible. We, you know, have the horse so that we can do shoulder in either way. The canter, because it's not an equilateral movement, you find that the horse tends to want to canter around the inside leg. So you end up with the horse bent a little right to the right, hindquarters a little to the inside, bent a little left to the left, hindquarters to the inside. And at this stage, I would be starting to want to have the horse a little more flexible, that I could start to take the shoulders. Okay, that's all right. Go again. And then go large. Good. So again, shoulder fore. And now is the time where she starts to learn about being flexible in the canter. So the aim is to make her flexible longitudinally, flexible laterally, and flexible within the pace. And if you can do all of those things, then basically you're training. Just let her go on a circle, Sam. It's all right. And then pick up your canter again. Good girl. She's got this beautiful canter. I think it's really lovely. But sometimes when you have, you know, this big expressive canter, it's with not so much strength in the horse. It just takes time for her to learn to balance. That's lovely. Well done. Good. And I mean, for a novice horse, really, what more could you want? I think it's beautiful. Good girl. Circle here. That's it. To be absolutely sort of picky, can we let her nose out a fraction more? And that yeah, well done. That's it. And Just a little. You don't have to throw the rein at her. All these little details are by increments. You're not going to. We don't have to suddenly make it different, but it might be something that when you went home that you could work on, that you could start to make it a little more flexible longitudinally. Okay, when you're ready, Sam, come back to trot. Good girl. And just come back to walk. Give her a breather. We're running a little bit late, Serena. We'll be another 5 minutes. We're just going to do a little bit of leg yielding. So I love the way she's going. You know, for a novice horse, I'd be super happy with that. So the next step, once your horse is forward and she's on the bit and she's happy and confident, then we start to move her off the leg, which to me is your first step towards collection. When the horse starts to understand that if you put your inside leg on, there is a reaction from the inside hind leg and the horse steps further under the body. And that also to me is the first step towards teaching piaffe. The horse has got to understand it. If you think of the piaffe and the passage, okay, it's a natural movement. People love to say it's a natural movement, but I mean, have you ever seen a relaxed horse in the paddock piaffe? They don't. They'll only piaffe when they're scared witless or they've got something chasing them. So it is adrenaline sparking it off. So already we're starting to think, can we get this horse to start to understand the concept. It is a concept. We're slowing the speed but maintaining the tempo. Normally in a paddock, if a horse slows the speed, he'll slow the tempo. And that's a very hard concept for us to grasp, let alone for the horse to grasp. So it's going to be something that you will teach very gradually and that the horse actually needs to understand rather than be tricked into doing it. Okay, so I would start the leg yielding just on the circle. Just in walk, just bring her forehand a little to the right, put your right leg on and the right hind leg steps under without increasing the speed. And that's lovely. Yeah, good reaction. And to start with, it'll be, oh, I might need a microscope to see it. That's fine, that's fine. You might have a horse that instantly reacts, but you might have a horse that hates it. You know, you have one that you touch it with a spur like that and it wants to bite your leg off. But that's, you know, you just go at that horse's speed. Good. And then, she knows the leg yielding already but this is how I would start it. Just in walk on a circle, come onto the other rein, and I would do exactly the same on the other rein. We're not going to have the time to do it. We'll do a little more lateral work with the next horse. But then again on this rein, very basic, inside leg goes on. I wanted just a reaction from the inside hind leg without an acceleration. Yeah. Do it a little more angle so we can see it a little more. So turn her a little more left. Yeah, there you go. And at this stage, I wouldn't worry if there's too much bend in the neck, that it's not pure leg yielding with just flexion at the pole. Just let her get the feel of putting her inside and then straighten up. Good, Sam, give her a pat. You're not going to be too pedantic about that. It's just her getting this understanding of inside hind leg under the body. Sam, let's just do in trot. We're going to turn down the centre line from A and we'll go once leg yielding over to the right off your left leg, and then once leg yielding over to the left off the other leg, the right leg. Good. So the leg yielding, the first in your novice test, and I once the horse is going like this, I would nearly live in lateral work. I love it. I think all the leg yielding, half pass, shoulder in, it all helps for the rider and the horse. See, very accurate turn. Good work. Good. And over she goes. Ideally, you could keep her even a little straighter still, but lovely rhythm, horse super confident, then maybe go across the diagonal, Sam.
Rozzie, can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Sitting or rising, or both, or either, what do you begin leg yield for people that are teaching and are becoming coaches? Do you start with the leg yield in rising trot or sitting trot, or does it matter?
I don't think it matters, to be honest. Some will start, I do lots of rising trot because I'm getting old. But I mean, these young, supple ones, sitting trot, rising trot, careful you don't put the hindquarters in the lead that way, Sam. Beautiful, good girl, and just walk. Is there anything else that you want to do, Sam? Because we've run out of time. She's so well behaved. Well done. Good girl. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, and this is perfect for them. Perfect for these young horses. But your question, I do lots of rising trot. I do lots of, Mary was talking about it yesterday, rising passage. I often teach the passage rising.
Thank you very much, Sam.
Sam, thank you so much for doing that. Thanks,
Good
that's
luck with her this weekend, and the competition will be fierce for sure. And we look forward to seeing you, and there's plenty of fantastic novice horses.
Yeah.
Rozzie, something that was so interesting for me that I will take from that lesson totally is the fact that here's a preliminary novice horse, and your first thought is, as soon as you start to move off your leg, you're thinking, this is the first step of Piaffe. Like your goal is always the Grand Prix, even though you're starting with a prelim horse. Yeah. And it's so, that for me, that was just so interesting.
I think, yes, I mean, absolutely. My first thought is that it's about teaching reactions and also understanding and trying to do it slowly. You know, when I first started the Piaffe, it was like you got the horse to Prix St George, and then you thought, oh my God, I've got to go Grand Prix, you know, better start the Piaffe. But in fact, the Piaffe has started there. Okay, it doesn't look anything like Piaffe, but it's about the horse's understanding, the rider's understanding, and about the progression. You know, there's lots of ways to start the Piaffe and the Passage, but to me, the collection starts the moment the horse starts to understand putting the hind leg underneath him. Yeah, well, I would start to think that is very much related to the leg yielding and the shoulder in, so that at this stage the horse is still running a little bit here, but okay, we can be clever for a test, and we can bring the horse's head up a little bit by being really clever with the contact on the rein. But realistically, the horse should come up because you put the hind leg further underneath. So to me, once the horse understands a little bit leg yielding and a little bit of shoulder in, that's when I would use that to bring the horse up.